Okay, it's 4 p.m. So, Chris, I believe you're on, you want to go ahead and call the meeting?
All right, let's go ahead and call it to order. Welcome everybody to our November general membership meeting. We hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. A couple of reminders: the mute function will be enabled for this meeting, so you will not be able to communicate via voice. We do have the chat box open. You can communicate or ask any questions via chat. We do ask you to be respectful and keep it to basketball items only. Any personal items, hello, how are you? You can do that in a direct message. Also, keep it on topic so we can stay on track with our agenda. With that being said, turn it over to Diana.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Again, happy Sunday to everybody. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. We are going into about week 3 of the season. So, we're plugging along, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff and issues going on here in a little bit.
Hey, Diana, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but 2 people have said in the chat that you have to update your Zoom, so we might want to wait 5 more minutes as people are logging on.
Just has a, okay, that's fine. We'll pause and give it another 3-4 minutes.
Doggy interaction. Thomas, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. Otherwise, unraise your hand, please.
Diana, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you more.
All right.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started then. We have over 100 people on. Hopefully we'll have a bunch more. Okay, so as I was saying, we're in week 3, went into week 3 of our basketball season. And so we'll cover some things there with, as you know, as this is a different season unlike any other. But we'll get to that topic here in a bit. We'll start off with officer reports. Jean, do you want to go ahead? Secretary?
Yeah, I just want to give you some numbers for everybody's information. Total number of personnel that we have listed in Arbiter is 401. The number of members that have actually paid state dues is 304. The ones that paid chapter dues is 297. And the eligible members that are ready for assignments is 284. That'd be it.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Jean? If you do, please put them in the chat. If there's anyone out there who doesn't have their mask, doesn't have their books, please email either me, Kenny, or Jean, and we'll connect with you guys somehow to get you that stuff. As I mentioned in the board meeting earlier, I do want to thank Jean and Kenny for helping and putting, putting some time aside on their own to go out and meet people at parking lots. Gene opened up, had people come into his home. And so, I appreciate Kenny and Gene helping with that and getting all this stuff out. But I want to make sure that everybody gets a mask and everybody gets their books. So if you haven't gotten them and you've paid all your dues and you're officiating, please get with us. Okay. The other big thing is tests. If you have not gotten your test done, you probably got your schedule pulled. You've got to get these tests done, guys. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is. State is looking at this stuff. We are required for every member to have all 3 tests, not just 1 or 2, all 3 tests completed prior to being able to officiate. So get that stuff taken care of. It doesn't take long. It's a total of 40 questions for all 3 tests. Okay. Doesn't take long. So let's make sure we get those done. I'd greatly appreciate it. We need the officials. We need guys. We are down officials, as Jane just stated with the numbers. So it's real important. Okay. Any questions on that? Anything for Jean, our secretary? Good point, Brad. Thank you. If you have not taken your tests, you should have by now, but if you haven't, you're going to go to Arbiter. You're going to log in on Arbiter, and there's a tab where right next to registration that says testing. That's where you get your test. That's where it'll pop up and show you access of where you get your tests. Okay.
Hey, Diana.
Yes.
As of this morning on the rules test, we've done a real good job on taking the rules test. The test that we need to take is the mechanics test. We've got a lot that haven't done that. So go right back to the THSBOA Central Hub, click on testing and get it done.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Good point. Now, as I mentioned, not just the mechanics, you need to take all 3 tests, 2-man, 3-man rules. Okay. Very important. Get those taken care of. All right. A couple of things. So this year, before I move on to treasurer's report, a couple of things in regards to game fees. Marvin and Henry are collecting gaps. Okay. So if you need to pay those, get those taken care of. $45. Important. Get those taken care of. We're going to start looking at those. People who haven't paid game fees are not going to officiate games. Okay. We need to get these taken care of. If you have issue with a school getting payment from an ISD, you need to contact Chuck, and Chuck will contact those ISDs for you. Do not call the schools directly. Okay. We don't want officials calling these secretaries directly. You might be waiting till next year for your payment if you do that. All right. Let's take care of business, and let's just get with Chuck, and Chuck will take care of following up on getting those payments paid out to you guys. Okay. Any questions? Anything for secretary? There was a question. If you're a new official, we don't need to take 3-man tests, correct? Marvin, is that correct?
That's correct.
Right? Okay.
If they're doing just sub-varsity, middle school, it only needs to be the 2-person test.
Okay.
All those doing three-person games, and we've got a few people that work in 3-person that need to take their 3-person mechanics exam.
Okay. Great, thank you. All righty. Moving along, we have the treasurer's report. I believe Aaron will be pulling up those financials. And then Becca can go through them.
Thanks, Erin. So at the end of October, we had about $13,000 in checking, about $21,000 in the savings account. We brought in the month of October, about $4,400 in dues. We had 3 approved transactions for the month, or 4, I'm sorry. One was the $500 scholarship that we had awarded for one of our members, for a family member of one of our members. We also reimbursed Kenny for the SABOA access cards to get into games. We also spent $2,100 in purchasing the SABOA masks for all of our officials. And then I also had to reorder checks for our account as we ran out. I guess that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Does anybody have any questions regarding financials for Becca? If you do, please put them in the chat. Okay, thank you, Becca. No other questions. All right, we're gonna move right along. I'll tell you, we'll probably be getting through this meeting in about an hour and 15 minutes if we keep trucking along. Next, we have Marvin, if you want to go through assignments information.
Okay, assignments. It's amazing how many turnbacks we're getting, and we're getting them because we're not blocking dates. We're not blocking our dates. We're not blocking our times. We don't have the blocks correct, and then you're working over there in your Bromfields, but you can't get to Southside. I don't need you to decline that game. I need a phone call. If you decline a game and you're in the red, none of us will see that you may still be available to work a game at a different site at a different time. So we need a phone call before you decline a game. And if you're assigned a game and you're open and you're available, please accept that game or decline that game ASAP. I can't tell you the number of games that we're having declined, losing tons of freshman games. We're doing more corrections on the schedule than actually loading games. And we got 7 schools we don't even have schedules from yet because they don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to play only varsity or no freshmen, just JV. So there's a lot up in the air on the school schedules. And a lot of the middle schools are not playing until December and later. So if you're available and you get an assignment, accept it immediately. Or if you can't work at that time, give us a phone call so we can make adjustments. So we can make adjustments on the schedule to make that happen, okay? So blocking dates is important. Blocking times. If you're working from 8 to 5, then you need to block 8 to 5, okay? To get that done. We're 2 weeks into the girls' schedule and 1 week into the boys. We're moving right along. Get that done. And we still need pictures on Arbiter of everybody. We need an updated picture, a professional picture. Coaches, I got a couple coaches already asked who this person is, because some of you are going to see these schools for the first time ever. You know, so some of you are going to get some assignments that you may not have expected. So we need to update all of our data on Arbiter, please. You touched on game assignment fees. Chuck is still going to be the primary person right now for game assignment fees. He and I had a chat today. We're going to do that. He's going to do a better job of sending us an update. If you're an official that owes game assignment fees from last year and haven't paid your game assignment fees, you're coming off the schedule. And you need to check your schedule. As a lot of people found out last week with all the changes, time changes, deletions, moving of games, you need to check your schedule on Arbiter 2 and 3 times a day. You may get an email that says something, but when you look at Arbiter, it says something different. when you look at your schedule on Arbiter, that's what you follow, the schedule on Arbiter, please. Because you could have gotten an email and then since that email, it's been changed and you haven't received an updated email. Check your schedules on Arbiter, please. We'll be getting together again tomorrow. The schedule is out through the 28th of November. And we're meeting again tomorrow and we'll get the next week, possibly the next 2 weeks out tomorrow so we can get it published. And all I can say is be flexible and expect changes. Any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. Bill Hall did have a question in regards to parking, saying that parking is quite distant from the gyms, that other game personnel get to park close, particularly at high schools. Unfortunately, Bill, I just don't know what else we can do. I know there was a couple schools I went to, they have construction going on, so that even made it more of a distant walk. But I think again, the key word, as Marvin says, be flexible. So we'll see what we can do. I mean, if there's a specific school you're talking about and you want to send me an email, we can see about possibly talking to the schools about that. So, okay. And okay, so let's see here. Give me a second to read. Somebody wrote something really long. Hold on a second, guys. All right, I'm going to get into all this COVID stuff right now, Rick. All right. Any other questions regarding assignments? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the COVID safety updates. So, and I'll be able to answer some of these things, Rick, that you've asked. So there's just, as Marvin said, a lot of changes and a lot of need for flexibility, guys, a lot of patience. I know it's a lot to ask because we're out there putting ourselves out there when this is going on, which thank you for doing that because we are, as you know, short officials. So thank you for continuing to be committed and staying and officiating. You know, there's going to be cancellations, there's going to be changes, there's going to be games moved. I mean, it just, you know, there's even talk of no sub-varsity games possibly moving forward. It's just all constantly changing. And I promise you, as we get this information, we're sending it out to you guys. And we'll continue to do that as much as we can. The things that I do want to talk about are the use of masks. So I will tell you that I have personally witnessed people walking on courts with no mask, approaching tables with no mask, talking to coaches with no masks. And as I said in the last email, this is absolutely unacceptable. The only time you have a choice to decide if you want to wear a mask or not is when we're running up and down the court and play is live. Other than that, you need to have a mask on. I understand there's times where coaches will just, maybe you're in that T position and a coach will just kind of walk up behind you. Take a second and put the mask on. I understand they approached you, but put it on. If you go talk to the table, put it on. It's really critical. And if we see somebody consistently not doing this, you're going to be pulled from games. Okay. I mean, there's just no way around it. This is a matter of public safety. So I cannot reiterate this enough. Now, I had a couple officials tell me that the R in their game said that every time they reported a foul, they had to put their mask on. No, that's not accurate. You do not have to put your mask on when you're walking and at half court and reporting a foul. You only have to put your mask on when you're talking to the table crew if you get within 6 to 10 feet of them. If you're reporting from you're at the half court, there's no need or putting saying a timeout. there's no need to put your mask on at that time. If you come together as officials during timeouts or between quarters, you need to put your mask on. I've seen too many people just doing this. A hand in front of your mouth does nothing. Okay. So if you come together on the court of officials, you need to put your masks on. But you don't need to put your mask on every time you're reporting a foul. Okay. That's real important, unless there's a question by the table and you got to go approach them. Now that's different. Then you've got to put a mask on. Okay. Hold on. I appreciate y'all typing these messages. I'm going to go through them after I go through these things. I'm probably going to answer a lot of these. So if you can kind of hold on just a little bit, I appreciate it. The other thing is masks in the locker rooms. I know I personally am just coming dressed to every game, whether it's at a field house or school. I feel it's safer for me personally. And that's what I've decided to do. We are asking that if it's a game at a school that you do come dressed, particularly at a high school. If you want to get dressed at a field house, that's your choice. But the longer y'all are in locker rooms together, the more susceptible you are to each other. And we have to remember, even though we have a camaraderie and we are all officials, we are not family members and we do not live in the same households. So when you're in locker rooms, like at Littleton and at Paul Taylor, they're very small. Put your masks on, okay? We need to remember these things. Just because you don't have symptoms doesn't mean you don't have it. And I'm not trying to breed hysteria or anything like that. We just need to be cautious, guys, okay? We have to be cautious. These numbers of COVID are going up and up every day. And so we have to do what we can to take care of each other and keep each other safe. You don't want this thing, believe me, it's terrible, okay? So we need to do what we can to take care of ourselves. The other thing I would like to recommend is we had a situation last week where we had an official that worked a game. Later that night, he tested, the next day he tested positive. He went and got a test because he wasn't feeling well. We talked to his two co-officials, but what I found out afterwards was in between games, the crew that was before them was in the locker room with them. So there was some contact. There was some time together. What I want to ask of people is let's try to keep it to 3 people in a dressing room at a time. If you're the crew that's coming in late or early, figure out how to make it work, particularly with these really, Littleton is tiny. Paul Taylor, they have us back in the original one. We're not on the football side anymore. We're back in the smaller one. It'd be really good to try to do what we can to only have 3 people in a locker room at a time rather than all 6 of us squished in there. Okay. So let's do what we can to do that. Now, I'm going to try to look at these questions here. Trez asked, should we require taking a test after every game or only when someone reports symptoms? We're asking only if someone reports either symptoms or that they have COVID, and even symptoms, that'll be a personal choice. You need to watch yourself, monitor yourself. And if you develop symptoms, then you need to let us know as soon as possible. Okay. Rick, you mentioned about schools providing water. I'll be really honest. There's some schools that have just plain out told us we will not be providing water. As I believe Martha mentions on here, I would just do a general practice of taking a bottle of water with you. Again, I know it's not ideal, but we have to be flexible. And a lot of these schools are just said they're not going to provide water, and we cannot mandate that they do that. They've got so much going on. They've got to worry about water. Thinking of water for us is the last thing they want to do. There are plenty of schools, though. Most schools are providing water, at least that I've seen. Yes, thank you, Mike. A lot of these things were covered in that document I sent out. Unfortunately, I got to keep reiterating these things. I've talked to a lot of people who don't read the document. I'll get emails from people that don't read the document. And I'm like, did you read it? Because it answered your question. So let's just make sure we're all looking at that document that I send out. We spend a lot of time putting that together, making it as simple as possible for people. So let's just make sure that we take care of that. Yes, thank you, Bob. Yeah, if you're watching a game or you're coming early to watch a game, wear your mask in the stands. In fact, most places are requiring that you wear a mask unless you're taking a drink or eating popcorn or something. Okay. Brad asked if we should require all school districts to do temperature checks. We can't require them to do anything, unfortunately. They're following the guidelines that they're getting from their powers that be. I will tell you that the ADs are and have been really good about being very communicative with us when there's issues. They are CCing us and emailing us on all kinds of stuff. So I feel they are doing their part to keep us, as informed as possible. I know Northside requires you to check in and answer questions, but that's probably about pretty much what most schools are going to be doing. I know it's, we wish they could do more and would do more, but that's where we are. Okay. One last thing I want to mention is the ball. So we have asked the schools to be responsible for cleaning it. So what I would recommend, whoever your R is, if you can find out who that is when you get there, just say, hey, who's going to be responsible for cleaning the ball? So that way you know. If they ask you to do it, suggest something else. Just say, hey, we believe that table crew is going to be able to help us out with that. We have gotten a couple of comments and complaints from coaches that the ball's wet. So what I would recommend that you do when you get there is tell them get 2 to 3 balls on the table. I know they do this at Paul Taylor. They're using 3 balls. They have 2 on the table and then the one we're using. And during time at Paul Taylor, just so everybody knows, they're asking every single timeout and between quarters to swap the ball. Every single timeout, 30-second, minute, whatever it is. What I recommend is when you get to a gym, ask them to put 2, 3 balls on the table. That way they have some time to dry. Okay. Hopefully that'll help with that situation of having slick balls. Does anybody have any other questions? An official asked about is that we mentioned there's a 27 game limit. That is teams, not officials. Believe me, we'll work you a whole lot more than 27 games if you want. Right, Marvin?
It's going to be a whole lot more this year.
Yeah. No, it's teams that are limited to 27 games. Good question. Thank you, Mike. In a season, yes. Yes, Jared makes a good point. If you are working with a co-official that is unwilling to follow our procedures and protocols for wearing a mask, please let Marvin and me know. At least one of us. It's real simple. Just put it, we gave you a mask for free. So just put the mask on. If you continue again not to want to wear it, then there's going to be a conversation. All right. So it's real important that the R take ownership of that and let us know. Okay.
Having said that, at our varsity level, we need every official that's a varsity official to work games. Please don't put us in a position to remove you from games because you choose not to follow the protocol. This protocol is set in place for safety for you, your fellow officials, and the teams you work with. I don't think there's a lot to ask. So please follow that protocol.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. And again, we're not want to see for the most part, most officials are doing that. And thank you. Thank you for being professional. Thank you for being flexible. Thank you for being professional. That's, and just, we appreciate all that. We just need everybody to do it and get on the same page. Okay. I had a coach call me and tell me about an official that didn't wear a mask when they were talking to her. So, let's just take care of that. Okay. But for the most part, I think we're doing a really good job. We just need to kind of step up the safety measures just a little bit and just keep doing everything we can to keep each other safe more than anything. So, appreciate everybody's efforts. Anything else on COVID safety? If you have questions, if you have issues, if you have any comments, I've had officials call me, ask me different questions. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and help in any way that I can. So always feel free to call me or text me or whatever. I'm happy to help. So yeah, it's a lot of work this season on everybody's part. So let's just continue to stay with this good attitude and good momentum. Okay. When fans are on games, will officials be allowed to observe games? Felipe, that's kind of a tough one. Felipe asked if when fans are not allowed in games, will official be allowed to observe games or fellow officials? For the most part, most places are at least allowing 50% capacity. I know they're SAISD, there's some schools that are not. I know that there's a couple of schools that you have to be on a guest list. What I would probably do is if you're planning to go observe a game and you're not sure, either call the school, just don't say you're an official, just say, are you allowing guests? Or you can ask me or Marvin, and we could probably help you out with that. Someone asked, are schools insisting masks on players? No, they are not. They're not insisting that players wear masks. There are very few teams, I will tell you, that I've seen that are wearing masks. Good point, Bob. Bob just talking about limit the time. We're always, close together. If you want to stand in your little areas, that's good. Rick is asking if we're informing all officials if anyone becomes sick after game. Rick, we're not informing all officials. We're informing the officials that could be at risk. Okay. And Marvin and I personally did that with several officials. All right. Any other questions? Gene just commented about letting people know about how many schools have already canceled games to emphasize the problems. Yeah, I mean,
it would take a week to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, some major ones would be like Brennan girls are quarantined for 2 weeks. Holmes boys are quarantined for 2 weeks. I mean, and just because the game's canceled doesn't mean it was automatically COVID. It could be a myriad of reasons, scheduling issues. There's been some of those, that sort of thing, and to Marvin and the Simon team's credit, they've been doing a great job of trying to get schedules out as soon as possible. Some of these hiccups are getting the schedules from coaches. They're underwater and they're having to change and do all kinds of things. And so that information has to get to Marvin and his team, and then they've got to input it. Then they've got to assign it. So let's, again, practice patience this season. They're doing the best they can. Sal's asking how safe our masks are. They're 2-layer. CDC suggests that your mask are 2 layers of material. That's what ours are. So we meet the guidelines. I mean, I don't know other than that. That's all I can say about that. All right. Yeah, Brad, their schools are doing a great job of letting us know as soon as possible of any issues. So, I mean, Jay's calling us within 24 hours or sending us a letter. So I feel like they're doing their part. Marco's asking if you have to go to the locker room. If you don't feel comfortable going to the locker room and you can find a space off court to do your pregame, and that's something y'all are all good with, that's fine. That's fine. Introduction national anthem. I will tell you during the intros and most schools aren't doing intros. I will tell you, like at Paul Taylor National Anthem, what we did and what they asked us to do was just go ahead and run across the court and be on the other side during the national anthem and announcements. So we're opposite away from everybody already on the court. So I think as a crew, you guys just decide that. Again, there's a lot of flexibility this season regarding these things. So as a crew, if you feel like when they're doing, you know, announcements or the anthem, you want to go ahead and run across, go ahead and do that and get ready to officiate, because most schools are not announcing players. I haven't seen one school do it. So, okay. And yeah, you can also do your pre-games over the phone if y'all have time, if y'all schedule time before. All right, these are all great questions. Just in the essence of time, I'm going to go ahead and keep moving. And if you have any more, send Marvin or me an email and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Okay. Soupy, last thing I'll say is about player coaches. Yeah, the only thing is you do need to with the coaches. I know during, instead of captain's meeting, just meet with the coaches very quickly, but of course do your best to stay 6 feet away. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and move on. Again, I appreciate everybody's efforts in trying to keep each other safe and all of the players and coaches and table crew safe. So thank you. All right, moving to Constitution and bylaws. So basically what has happened is we did an electronic vote on the Constitution and bylaws. And according to our Constitution and bylaws, 75% of the members in good standing have to approve or disapprove, but approve essentially, have to approve the changes for it to be in effect. We needed, we were minus 30. We needed 30 more people to vote for the vote to count. So we were short of that 75%. So essentially the existing Constitution and bylaws are the ones before the vote. So I met with the board earlier today. What we've decided is we're going to do another electronic vote. We're going to send it out tomorrow to all the members in good standing. 75% of those members in good standing have to vote for it to be valid. Even if you already voted in the last one, we need you to vote again. This is a whole separate deal. Okay. So it's really important that you make sure that you get your vote in. I do want to say that I did do a typo. The deadline to vote will be Monday, November 23rd, not December 23rd. Okay, so apologies. I'm already thinking about Christmas. So it's November 23rd. So we'll send it out tomorrow, Monday, and you have till the following Monday, 7 days. So guys, please vote. Okay, we need 100, I think it's like 170 something, whatever 75% is, we need y'all to vote. Okay. That's all I'll say on that, unless anyone has any questions. Anyone? All right. Okay, so moving along, I asked Mark Veer to, he's going to show us some clips and we're going to talk some basketball. And since you have questions, if you have questions or comments, again, put them in the chat. But Mark, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks, Diana. It won't be clips. It's going to be over. I'm going to review the quizzes that we've been putting out that Marvin sent out. We've done 10 during the season, but I selected 4 of them that we missed most as a chapter, and we can have an open discussion. Probably better to do it in the chat, but I have no problems if you guys want to unmute yourself, but definitely don't want 140 questions on each clip. But we'll go through those if we can get through them pretty fast.
Mark, we'll stick with chat.
Okay, cool, then we'll do that. So in the chat. And then if we get through that pretty fast, then I wanted to go over backcourt situation that caused some discussion about a week ago. But am I able to share my screen, Diana? I'm sure I am, right? No, I can't. Okay, there we go. All right. Make sure you can see that, Diana. Can you see that? We're good? Everybody can see it?